Hi, my name is Bob Taylor, and I'm your host today for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I'm here today with my guest, Sylvia Taylor-Stein. Sylvia is the Executive Director of the Ombudsman of Ventura County Program. Sylvia, what is an Ombudsman Program?
That is a great question, Bob. So many people do not even know what an ombudsman is. An ombudsman is strictly means advocate. It's a universal word. It comes from Sweden. When people went before the king and they would actually fight for the rights of citizens, they were called ombudsman. It's a universal word, and it just means advocate. And so we are long-term care ombudsman, which means we advocate for seniors, older adults, disabled who live in long-term care facilities.
Okay, now before we get into that, I'm so interested in that word.
Okay.
Are there ombudsmen for other things in the county, like nonprofit ombudsman for meals or
Not to my knowledge. They're military, ombudsman in the military, ombudsman in banking, and governmental institutions.
And they call them ombudsman there,
Right.
not just advocates?
They call them ombudsman. Hospitals have ombudsman,
Okay.
but we are specific long-term care ombudsman. We're federally mandated, and the federal government, when they created us, used that universal word, ombudsman.
That's really great.
Yeah.
So what your group does is you go to the healthcare facilities, or the long-term care facilities,
yes.
and just to make sure everybody's okay.
That's right. And we go into all the nursing homes, all the assisted living, and in California we have what's called board and care homes. They're small homes in residential areas, maybe 6 beds, 10 beds. We go into those facilities as well.
And you have permission from the government, so anybody with a license automatically has to let you in to check it out?
Exactly. We are mandated, and we have our authority derives from the federal government.
Okay, now do people get checked regularly, like twice a year everybody gets checked, or just on complaints, or how often does that happen?
Well, the federal law that regulates the program only requires 1 visit a year or response to complaints. But when our program started here in Ventura County back in 1981, our founders set a mandate for Ventura County, and that is that we would be in nursing homes every week, at least once a week, and we'd be in all the rest at least once a month. Now that's in addition to all of our complaint investigation. That's just an unscheduled, unannounced visit where we actually go into the nursing homes, and yes, they do have to let us in.
All right, now that gives me about 10 more questions, but let's
Okay.
just start with an easy one first. You're into the nursing homes every week. How many of those are there in Ventura County?
We have, in Ventura County, we have about 21 nursing facilities, but we have over 200 assisted living and board and care homes. So we're 223.
So that's 223 places have to be visited every week.
21 every week, and the balance at least once a month.
Okay, now, and just how much staff do you have?
I have 5 staff, including myself.
Is that full-time?
I have 4 full-time, 1 part-time.
Okay, and so all of those, most of them are spending an awful lot of time on the road.
Well, actually, volunteers. That's where our greatest asset comes
So
in.
volunteers get to do the checking themselves. You guys do the coordination and the arrangements and everything else from inside, and then volunteers go out.
We train the volunteers, we recruit, train, and then all our volunteers have to be background checked by the FBI and the Department of Justice. They have to be fingerprinted, and they have to pass a pretty rigorous
You're
training.
making it pretty tough for volunteers.
Well, the state does, and the federal government does, but it's good. It's a good thing. This is a very vulnerable population, and they deserve to be protected.
Oh, no, you're right, and I certainly understand that. So it must be harder for you to get volunteers.
Actually, we have, right now we have almost 60 volunteers.
Okay.
Covering all the facilities, and in our nursing homes we have at least 2 volunteers going into those facilities every week. Our volunteers are very committed, very dedicated. We have 1 volunteer who's been with us almost 25 years.
Wow.
Our oldest volunteer is going to be 91. We have young volunteers still working in the workforce in their 30s. They're an incredible group of people, and passionate, committed, dedicated, and they have to file incredible, just very intensive reports every month, and they do it because they love what they do. They're amazing people.
Yeah, you can tell just by the way you're talking about it, people do. Now, I've always been one, when somebody calls me and says they're depressed about something or having a hard time with life, I always tell them to go volunteer at a pet shelter a couple hours a week.
Exactly.
And that gets them out of things. Just caring for the elderly, is that kind of the same kind of thing?
It really is. You know, I've had people say to me, doesn't it depress you to have to go into those places? And no, it doesn't. It makes you so grateful that you are able And our volunteers, I mean, most of our volunteers have been with us over 10 years. And they come from all walks of life. We have retired superintendents of school here in Ventura County, teachers, corporate CEOs, home business owners, homemakers. They come from all chemists, scientists, all walks of life. But what they will say over and over again, I stay with the program because it is so worthwhile. I know I'm making a difference, and it makes me grateful.
Well, you know, I watched a TV commercial just the other day. I don't even know who it was for, but it was talking to a nurse of some sort with an older person, and she said, I can't possibly put into them what they give to me.
Exactly.
And you could almost see that in her voice, the way she was talking about the things that she gets out of that.
That is so true. And you get to know some of these older residents. Their stories are so rich, and their backgrounds are just, they have contributed a lot to our society. And they're really an invisible population. I mean, most people don't go spend their Sunday afternoons in a nursing home visiting with residents.
Right.
But these individuals are some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. Just World War II veterans who can tell their stories, and Korean veterans, and just women who've contributed so much to the film industry and just to businesses, and it's really inventors. I mean, it's amazing. It's an incredible group we have here in Ventura.
Okay, you have all these places you got to visit, and you have complaints. Mm-hmm. When do you have time to get to know? I mean, when somebody goes in to examine a nursing home, they can do a quick check on people and make sure the procedures and everything else is okay, but how much time do they have to actually visit all the patients?
An average nursing home visit is 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, no kidding. So
Yes.
they're not just there to check the books and make sure everything's okay.
Oh, no. They knock on doors. They visit every resident. They can visit.
Oh.
Every resident's visited at least once a week.
Oh, how
Now,
special
sometimes
is
the
that?
residents might be asleep.
Right.
They may be at a doctor's appointment. They may be out of the facility, and
Right.
obviously we don't see them on that particular visit. But when you have 2 ombudsmen, in some places we have 3 committed to a weekly visit, and each visit's 2 to 3 hours, you're going to get to visit all the residents.
Okay, now one thing I really hate to think about is complaints, of course. We never want to think about those things,
They are
especially with our
real.
elderly.
They are real.
How often do you get complaints? Let's start there.
Well, almost every visit there will be a complaint. And it may be a minor complaint. It may be, well, my soup was cold today, which isn't minor if you want hot soup. That's not minor. Or it might be, my remote isn't working, which isn't minor if you want to watch a football game.
It certainly isn't minor to them at the moment.
No, it is not. And so most of our complaints we can resolve at the time of the visit if it's just something we can fix.
Right.
You know, if we can get batteries for the remote, or we can have their soup delivered hot, if we can make sure their clothes are back in their room. But the more serious complaints, we actually take what's called do a complaint investigation, and we have to have consent to do that investigation because this population is vulnerable, and we're not there at 3 a.m. in the morning. You know, we're there, and they're afraid many
Right.
times to talk to us. So our job is to keep their identity confidential unless they give us consent, and that's a federal mandate that we have to follow. And try to really get them to trust us so that they will be willing to let us help them. We file probably about 1,000 complaints a year in the facilities here in Ventura County.
Okay, now that gets me to the next thing. Now, a restaurant gets a rating A, B, C, D, or gets closed, and you can going into a restaurant what the rating is. You got to know what the good ones are and what the bad ones are.
You can go online. You can go to Medicare for the nursing homes. Just go to the Medicare website. It's nursinghomecompare.org. And you can actually see ratings for facilities in Ventura County and across the nation. But the problem with that is it's not real time sometimes.
Right.
And so we suggest that everyone call us. Just call us. And we can tell someone, if we have open complaints in a facility without going into the details, if you called and you said, Sylvia, I want to know about ABC Nursing Home, I could say, Bob, we've had 3 hygiene complaints this week. We have open complaints with medication issues. We can tell you that. And then we can give you a checklist. You can go on our website and print out a checklist. And in that checklist, you can go to the facility yourself and just walk through that checklist, and it'll help you get a really good feel for the facility. But there is a 5-star rating for nursing homes, but it isn't always I suggest go with your own eyes and ears and nose and
You know,
check it out yourself.
I'm going to ask some questions you might not know the answers to, but you're still fine. Ventura County, do you feel that the nursing homes in Ventura County are better than the nursing homes, or more sincere or try harder than those in LA or those in a different county? Or, I mean, how does Ventura County rate and that kind of thing?
You know, I can't speak for any other county, but I know that the nursing homes in Ventura County, I'd say we have some pretty good ones.
Okay.
We meet with nursing home administrators to help them improve their drugging rates. We have been on a huge effort for the last 5 years to reduce the antipsychotic drug use, off-label use for persons with dementia here in Ventura County. We've had some great success stories here. We have some facilities still struggling with this issue, but we have found overall that we have a cooperative spirit.
That was the question.
Yeah.
So when most complaints, it's the facility wants to work with you and fix the complaints.
They do. We really, I'd have to say it's a much more cooperative spirit than when I came here
Okay.
years ago. It's more, they know that we're here to help them. We're here to advocate for the resident. That's our goal. That's our role. We are not here to advocate for them, but we are here to work with them to give the residents a better quality of life.
Because it's all about the residents.
That's right.
Now, are there some that welcome you a little more than others?
Sure.
I guess that's kind of a foolish question. Of course there would be.
Sure.
You know?
We have a lot of turnover in our larger nursing homes because they're corporate owned and they,
Right.
they move people around more. I would say, when a new administrator comes to town, we try to get to know them, and we want them to get to know this program because most of them have never been around a really active ombudsman program. Well, why are you in my facility every week? Because that's our mandate in Ventura County. And why did you come twice this month? Because we can come as often as we want, and we want to be here for these residents. So we try to educate them, and once they get used to us and realize we're here to really to lift the life of the residents, they come along.
All right, I got a couple more questions, and then it's going to be wind down time,
Okay.
actually. So you have about 60 active volunteers at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
How many volunteers do you think it takes altogether to work your ombudsman program?
Well-
With all the little fingers and branches and everything else.
We have 8,500 residents in the facilities that we
Okay.
that we oversee or that we monitor. We're going to have a training next February, and we're going to actually be training more volunteers, and we have to keep that pipeline
Right.
going because we have volunteers who leave us for medical reasons or they move out of the state. So we have to keep.
Well, they
so
need their own
many-
ombudsman.
They need their own ombudsman.
91-year-old is a good example of that.
Exactly. So we have, individuals who have to leave us, and then we must have individuals who can replace them. Right now, we have, I'd say we have pretty good coverage in our county because we have so many amazing volunteers.
Okay, now, you say you have something coming up in February. When, how do people get a hold of you, or do they find out about that? I mean, I don't see your ads in the paper or anything on a regular basis.
Right. Our website, we do have ads running in the different newspapers in the
Okay.
county. But our website, we're always recruiting volunteers on our website, and we do a lot of public speaking. We go out into the community, and every time we speak to city councils, to any kind of senior groups, to any church groups, anyone we're talking to, we are recruiting volunteers.
So somebody would just Google ombudsman to find you?
No, our website, which is very,
Go ahead.
it's, ombudsman is a lumpy word.
Right.
It's www.ombudsmanventura.org.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sylvia. Our time is over, so.
Okay.
I appreciate all the information.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being with us today. My name is Bob Taylor. I've been your host for this segment of OurVentura TV. We've been here today with my guest, Sylvia Taylor-Stein, from the Ombudsman of Ventura County Program. Thank you very much.